You think you know what danger looks like until it hides in a child's bedroom. A retired German shepherd named Ranger wasn't supposed to work anymore, but one bark changed everything. He uncovered a secret so dark it shocked a family and exposed a predator living under their roof. What started as a quiet Sunday turned into a race against time, a desperate fight to protect a little girl from someone she should have been able to trust. This is the story of loyalty, instinct, and one dog's refusal to stay silent. What would have happened if Ranger hadn't barked? You're about to find out. You never forget the sound of a German shepherd barking like that. It wasn't just noise. It was alarm, ancient and bone deep, like the past screaming into the present. Owen Rourke had trained K-9 units for more than 20 years, and this bark stopped him cold. "Ranger, what is it?" he called, stepping into the living room of his sister's cottage in Elmbridge, North Carolina. The retired German shepherd stood rigid, planted in front of a bubblegum pink toy chest. His stance was military sharp, ears pinned back, tail stiff, teeth bared as a low growl throbbed in his throat. Just moments earlier, everything had been quiet. A lazy Sunday visit, coffee on the counter, Owen's 6-year-old niece, Lila, playing with dolls on the carpet. Now she was curled behind the couch, hands clamped over her ears. "Mel," Owen called. "You hearing this?" His sister, Melody, poked her head in from the kitchen, still holding a damp dish towel. "Oh, Ranger," she said, half laughing. "It's just the toy box. Maybe a bug crawled in." But Owen didn't laugh. Neither did Ranger. This wasn't just any dog. Ranger had sniffed out IEDs in Kandahar, hunted fugitives through the Appalachian backwoods, and once uncovered a missing girl hidden beneath a storm cellar. When Ranger barked like this, it meant danger. Melody's fiancé, Dane, leaned in from the hallway. "Your dog always this twitchy off-duty?" Owen didn't answer. His eyes remained locked on Ranger, who hadn't moved an inch. Something was wrong. He knelt beside the toy chest, laying a hand gently on Ranger's shoulder. The dog flinched, but didn't back away. His nose pointed straight at the box like a scope on a rifle. Owen lifted the lid. Stuffed animals and plastic dolls spilled over one another. A plush unicorn, a floppy-eared rabbit, a pirate with a yarn beard. Everything seemed normal, but Ranger's growl deepened. One by one, Owen removed the toys. At the bottom, stuffed inside a hollow teddy bear, something glinted. A metallic sliver. He paused. Inside the bear's belly, carefully wrapped in gauze and sealed with duct tape, was a sleek black device, no bigger than a USB drive, with a lens and a blinking red light. A hidden camera, and it was live. That evening, Owen sat on the porch swing, Ranger at his feet, his thoughts racing. Who plants a surveillance device in a child's toy? Melody said she bought the bear at a yard sale 2 weeks back. Maybe some creeper was pulling a prank, she offered weakly. Dane suggested hackers. People do all kinds of weird tech stuff now. Maybe some scammer was experimenting, but Owen knew better. Hidden cameras didn't wind up in homes by coincidence. He wrapped the device in a padded envelope and overnighted it to a friend in Atlanta, Lyle Darnell, a retired cybercrimes analyst who owed him a favor. "If there's anything on it," Owen said, "I need to know." Neither he nor Ranger slept that night. At 3:17 a.m., Ranger scratched at the wall, not the toy chest this time, but the drywall next to Lila's bed. Lila whimpered in her sleep, her fists clenched. Owen eased open the bedroom door. Ranger stood statue still, teeth bared at the wall. There was something in there too. The next morning, Owen noticed Lila wearing a long-sleeve shirt despite the 80-degree heat. "You warm, sweetheart?" he asked gently. She shrugged. "Mommy says I get chilly easy." Melody stepped into the room in pajamas and froze when she saw her daughter. Lila tugged at the hem of her shirt. Owen's heart dropped. He looked at Ranger. The shepherd hadn't moved, his eyes glued to the hallway. There was a truth here, unspoken, awful, lurking in the quiet. If stories like this matter to you, stories where K-9 heroes uncover the truths others miss, subscribe to Guardians in Fur. Help us share the bravery of animals like Ranger. That afternoon, the phone rang. "It's real," said Lyle on the other end. "And it's bad." "What's on it?" Owen asked, clutching the phone. "Footage. Weeks of it. Same room. Same angle. It's been active for at least 2 months. What kind of footage? A pause. Emotional abuse. Physical too. A man's voice. Yelling. Slapping. In one clip, the girl hides under the bed. He drags her out. There's a mirror reflection. Owen's chest tightened. Do you recognize him? I'm sending it now. You tell me. The video arrived by secure link at 7:06 p.m. Owen clicked it open. Ranger rose from the floor and growled low. The video showed Lila's room. Date stamp, 3 weeks ago. A tall man entered, slim build, dark long-sleeve shirt. He spoke quietly, menacingly. You remember the rules, don't you? A whisper off-screen. No. The man grabbed a doll and hurled it. Then, just enough, he turned. A silver bracelet flashed on his wrist. Then his face appeared in the mirror. Owen froze. Ranger barked. It was Dane. Melody was rinsing dishes when Owen entered the kitchen, laptop in hand. Where's Dane? He asked. She blinked. He said he was heading to Winstead Hardware. What? Owen turned the screen toward her. The footage played. Melody's face crumbled. The plate in her hand slipped and shattered on the tile. No, she whispered. No, he wouldn't. He loves her. Look at the mirror, Owen said. Look again. She fell to her knees, hands over her mouth, shaking. How long? She gasped. How long has this been happening? I don't know, Owen said, his voice gravel. But I'm finding out. Ranger patted in, eyes fixed on the hallway. Lila peeked around the corner. Uncle Owen, she whispered. He turned, heart in his throat. He said if I told anyone, he'd hurt Ranger, she said, her voice as small as her frame. But I think Ranger's stronger. Owen crouched beside her, pulling her close. He is, he said. And so are you. The next morning, Dane was gone. Melody found a note on the counter. I need to think. Don't listen to Owen. He's always hated me. Owen photographed the note, sealed it in a Ziploc bag, then checked the bedroom. Half the closet was empty. So was the nightstand. He looked at Melody. He's running. She collapsed into a kitchen chair. You think he meant to hurt her? Maybe it just got out of hand. Owen's stare was sharp enough to slice steel. She's 6. Nothing gets out of hand unless something's already broken inside you. Melody covered her face with her hands. I should have seen it. She had. In the flinches, the silences, the fear in her daughter's eyes. But like so many people, she'd chosen comfort over confrontation. And now a little girl was carrying the cost of that silence. That afternoon, Owen took Ranger on a walk down the creek trail behind the neighborhood. It was their old routine. Between deployments, between callouts, Ranger didn't need commands anymore. His instincts were sharper than ever. And right now, they were twitching. Owen's phone buzzed. It was Lyle from Atlanta. I dug deeper, he said. There's more. Define more. The camera wasn't just recording. It was streaming. Live. Through a masked server in Oregon. Owen stopped cold. You saying someone was watching in real time? Yeah. And it's not your typical creep in a basement. This was clean, sophisticated. If Dane didn't plan it himself, he hired someone. Owen's jaw clenched. Then someone out there was watching her. Live. He hung up, blood pounding in his ears. Ranger whined softly, glancing back toward the house. Lila was in there, sleeping, trusting the world to protect her. And someone had been watching every second of her suffering. That night, Owen didn't sleep. He set up 3 encrypted cameras of his own, one in Lila's bedroom, one above the front door, one facing the backyard. He also changed every password, Wi-Fi, locks, the security system, even Melody's phone. She didn't protest. She barely spoke. She was hollow now, floating in the cold water of her own guilt. Lila barely spoke either, but her eyes stayed on Ranger. He didn't leave her side, not even for the bathroom. And every time the door creaked or the wind nudged the fence, she froze. That night, Owen took the floor outside her bedroom, rifle leaning against the wall, Ranger by his side, black coffee cooling in his hand. At 2:03 a.m., Ranger stood and growled. Owen was on his feet instantly. What is it? He whispered. Ranger stared toward the window that looked out on the backyard. Owen grabbed his phone, pulled up the camera feed. Motion detected. A shape. By the fence. He grabbed his rifle and crept to the back door. Silent. Barefoot. Ranger right beside him. Another flicker on the camera. A tall figure. Hooded. Moving slow. Don't move, Owen growled into the dark. I've got a scope on you. And a shepherd trained to bring down armed insurgents. The figure froze, then bolted. Owen didn't fire. That wasn't what he came for. He and Ranger gave chase. But by the time they reached the fence, the figure had vanished into the woods. It wasn't a robbery. It was a message. Someone wanted to know if the camera had been discovered. And now, they knew. By sunrise, Owen had already filed the backyard footage with the Asheville County Sheriff's Department. He delivered everything. The original hidden camera footage, timestamps, video of the man near the fence, and, most damning of all, the clips that revealed Dane's face. Detective Iris Callahan, young, sharp, and not one to waste time, opened a formal child endangerment investigation that morning. We'll get Child Protective Services involved right away, she told Owen. She'll be placed into temporary care while we review everything. No, Owen said flatly. She's staying with me. I'm her legal uncle. You're not her guardian. I'll fix that. And your sister? Owen looked at Melody, seated silently on the couch like a broken clock. She's in no condition to raise anyone, he said. And frankly, she shouldn't. By noon, the house swarmed with investigators. Lila clung to Ranger the entire time. When officers asked her questions, she whispered her answers into the shepherd's ear. Ranger didn't blink. And somehow, that gave her the courage. She told them about the rules, the punishments, the things Dane said when her mother wasn't home, the red marks on her arms, the threats. He said if I told anyone, she whispered, he'd make Ranger disappear. One of the officers looked at Owen, stunned. But Owen had moved past stunned. He was at war. That evening, as the house emptied and the sun sank behind the trees, Lila curled beside Ranger on the couch, one small hand resting on his shoulder. She was drawing again. A tall German shepherd stood between a little girl and a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes. Ranger, she whispered to Owen, never barked like that before. Owen nodded. That's because he never had to be that brave before. He saved me, didn't he? Yes, Owen said quietly. He did. Melody left that night. CPS had required she undergo a psychological evaluation. She didn't argue, didn't protest. She just disappeared into the rain, a shell of the mother she once was. Lila didn't ask where she went. She didn't even ask for her. She only asked for Ranger. Uncle Owen, she said one morning, sliding a crayon drawing across the table. Can I talk to the police through Ranger again? Owen smiled. Anytime, sweetheart. The drawing showed Ranger again, this time standing on top of a cliff, facing a dark figure below. Above the shadow, in jagged crayon letters, was one word, lies. Owen stared at it, because the more he reviewed the footage, the more obvious it became. Dane hadn't just abused Lila. He had manipulated her. In one clip, Dane sat in the corner of her room, voice soft, calm. You don't want your mom to cry, right? He said. So don't make her sad. Don't lie. Don't scream. If you do, Ranger won't help you anymore. Owen felt sick. The man wasn't yelling. He was grooming, training her to protect him. He took the footage straight to Detective Callahan. She looked tired, her desk cluttered with coffee cups and folders. But her eyes sharpened when Owen showed her the clip. He's adjusting the camera, Owen said, pointing at a moment when Dane reached into the toy chest. That's not accidental. He's repositioning it. Callahan leaned forward. What's that in the mirror? They both stared. In the dresser's reflection, Dane's face, focused, satisfied, like someone checking their work. That's enough for a statewide alert, Callahan said. We'll get the system humming. We need to bring him in before he disappears. That night, Owen sat alone in the living room. Ranger curled at his feet, flipping through hours of video. Each frame was a punch to the gut. Lila, shoulders slumping lower, voice quieter, dolls shoved under furniture. At one point, she stopped speaking entirely. Every clip was a record of innocence being stolen. But something didn't fit. In one video from nearly 2 months ago, Dane wasn't in the room. Someone else was. Tall, quick, gloved. He knew exactly where the camera was. Pulled it out, checked it, tucked it carefully back into the teddy bear. He wore a hoodie, no face visible. But Owen zoomed in on the frame. A watch. Distinctive gloves. He snapped a still and sent it to Lyle in Atlanta. New player. Need ID. Urgent. The reply came an hour later. That's Thomas McKay. Not Dane. Not even close. Owen sat up straight. McKay. The name rattled like a lock in his brain. He knew that name. Convicted sex offender. Had done time. Rumored to have a string of victims, though only one case had stuck. Dane had testified at that hearing. And later? They'd both worked at the same auto garage, which meant this wasn't just abuse. It was a network. Lila had nearly become part of something far worse. The next morning, Owen handed the footage to Detective Callahan. McKay, he said. Dane's friend. He's the one who installed the tech. Callahan's jaw tightened. This goes federal now. I'll alert the Crimes Against Children Task Force. Good, Owen said. Because if they don't catch him, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. When CPS returned for a follow-up, Lila sat on the hallway floor with Ranger. She traced his paw with a crayon, whispering to him softly. Do I have to go with them? She asked as Owen approached. No, baby, he said, kneeling beside her. You're staying with me. And Ranger? Always. Later that day, the doorbell rang. Owen checked the porch cam. Melody. She looked thinner, rain-drenched, dark circles beneath her eyes. She held a plastic bag with trembling fingers. I brought her cereal, she said. The kind she likes. You can't come in, Owen said. I know, she whispered. I just wanted to see her. She looked past him. Ranger stood silently in the doorway behind Owen. Melody's eyes welled. Tell her I love her. Owen nodded once, but he didn't promise. That night, after Lila had fallen asleep curled against Ranger's side, Owen sat on the porch with his laptop and opened one final file. One Leo had recovered from corrupted data. The footage was shaky. The camera had shifted from its original angle. The timestamp was from 2 nights before Owen found the camera. The door creaked open. Footsteps. A tall hooded man entered. McKay. He crouched beside Lila's bed, whispered something, reached toward her, and then a bark. Off-screen. Deafening. Protective. Ranger. The image jostled violently as the camera tumbled. Then static. Owen sat frozen. Ranger had scared McKay off before anyone knew. Before anyone even believed. He'd known. The next morning, Lila crawled into Owen's lap and handed him her notebook. A new drawing. It showed Ranger barking at a shadowy figure outside her window. The girl beneath the blanket was smiling. You remember that night? Owen asked. She nodded. He scared him away. Yes, Owen said, voice thick. He did. A week later, Owen got a call from Detective Callahan. Brace yourself. We found Dane. Where? Abandoned farmhouse outside Winder. Looks like McKay's been harboring him. Owen didn't hesitate. I'm coming. He left Lila with Deputy Rose Allison, her favorite officer with the steady voice and hidden candy stash. Ranger stayed close. By the time Owen and Ranger arrived, the task force had already surrounded the farmhouse. You sure he's in there? Owen asked Callahan. Thermal shows one body. Moving slow. Could be hurt. Owen clipped Ranger's vest on. I'm going in with him. You sure? I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that dog. Let us finish this. Callahan nodded. They entered. The place reeked of mildew and rot. Dust floated like fog. Ranger was focused. Locked in. They found Dane in a back bedroom. Alone. Unshaven. Same gray hoodie as in the videos. When he saw Owen, he smirked. Took you long enough. Owen didn't speak. Ranger stepped forward, ears flat, body rigid. Still smirking. Dane said, still hiding behind your mutt? No, Owen said. He's the reason you're going down. As they cuffed him, Ranger let out a single, deep bark. Final. Irrefutable. 3 months later, court day came. The courtroom was packed. Media, law enforcement, advocacy groups, and a dozen 9 officers who had once served with Owen. Lila clutched Ranger's leash as they were called forward. The judge, gray-haired, sharp-eyed, smiled gently. Miss Lila, thank you for being here today. Would you like Ranger with you? Lila nodded. He's how I talk. The courtroom fell silent. She walked to the stand and opened her notebook. My name is Lila, and I used to be scared. But nobody saw it. Not even Mommy. I thought I was invisible. But Ranger saw me. Ranger heard me. He barked when no one else did. And now I'm not scared anymore. No cross-examination. What could be said? A week later, the verdict, guilty on all counts. 35 years, no parole. The FBI expanded the case. McKay was linked to a larger ring, and Ranger's discovery helped crack it open. Lila wouldn't have to testify again. She didn't need to. She'd already told the truth. Melody completed parenting classes and began trauma-focused therapy. She visited on weekends, bringing drawings, toys, soft words, and slow apologies. Owen officially adopted Lila on a clear October morning. She wore a navy dress with gold stars. Ranger sat beside her, still and regal. "Do you understand what this means?" the judge asked her. Lila nodded. "It means he's my forever dad." That same week, Ranger received a letter from the mayor's office. He was being awarded the Silver Paw Medal, an honor for service animals whose actions led directly to saving a human life. At the ceremony, Owen, Lila, and Ranger stood on stage beneath fluttering flags. "This year's honoree is a retired K-9 named Ranger," the mayor said, "whose instincts and loyalty helped save a child from a predator and exposed a crime no one else could." The crowd erupted in applause. Ranger barked once, sharp and proud. That night, they sat on the porch watching the stars. Lila leaned against Owen's arm. "Do you think Ranger knows he got an award?" "I think he knows he did something important. I'm going to draw him tomorrow, on stage, with the medal. He'll love that." She grew quiet. "Uncle Owen, why didn't anyone hear me before?" Owen looked at the trees. "Sometimes people don't want to believe bad things happen close to them. But that doesn't mean you were invisible. It just means they weren't listening. But Ranger was." He nodded. "Ranger always listens." Inside, she fell asleep early. Ranger curled beside her, tail tucked around her legs. Owen stood in the doorway watching. There had been a time not long ago when all he had was suspicion, a battered toy chest, and a dog that wouldn't stop barking. But Ranger had heard what no one else could. And because of that bark, a little girl got her life back. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe Wildkin Pawas stories to Guardians in Fur. Your support helps us tell more powerful stories of loyalty, courage, and the animals who save lives, often in silence, always with strength. Drop a comment to honor Ranger. Turn on notifications so you never miss a tale that matters.